Hello crafty friends, Michelle Houghton here. We are going to be playing with a new stamp set from Kraftin Kimmie. This was part of the February release, and it is a stamp set that I designed. It's called Special Delivery, and we've got 2 snails and a slug and several sentiments that go along with that, and then a little mail bag. And the intent with the mail bag is that if you fussy cut this out, it actually fits right along the shell of this guy, and then you can also do it kind of right across the front of this guy, so it fits either one. And earlier in the release I colored up the slug in a no line coloring, and I also did this guy, and I hadn't done the mail bag yet, but I thought you might like to see the no line coloring on the slug. And then if we have time, because these are pretty easy ones to color, I might color this guy as well in the mail bag. And then kind of magic of videography, it will shift over to the cards if I have time to make cards, so you guys can see kind of how I finish them again. I'm not sure that I will get through all of that because I've got so much on my table. It's a mess. And I really am trying to finish the clothing class and get that all put together. So it's online, and about 3/4 of the videos are in now, but I've got the rest of those to film, and there's a ton of material in there, so people are already getting working, but I need to get the rest of them in. So I have those videos to record, and obviously I'm behind in general. So anyways, we'll see what we have time for, and we'll enjoy some coloring. All right, so I think we'll do the little slug guy first. And the first thing I'm actually going to do is I'm going to find a Copic multi-liner. This is a 0.3, and really all I'm doing on this one is I'm filling in the little pupil in each eye, and I could come back and add a white dot to these. Kraftin Kimmie has 2 different light pinks that will work for no line coloring. One is Precious Pink and one is Pretty in Pink. And then whichever one I end up making a card with, or if both. The other things I'm going to be using are also from the release this month. We've got a new ink color. She has one every month. And this month it is a Lavish Lilac. And then I've got some amazing crafty dots and this really cool stencil that came out as well this month. The crafty dots are part of kind of the monthly add-on kit, but the stencil is separate and the stamps are all separate. So we're gonna do kind of something completely different for the slug. I was kind of thinking, what would you think about a banana slug? Because those are actually a real thing. So I'm thinking kind of yellow greens, really light ones. And these are similar colors that I'd used on the snail. But I've got a Y11, a YG21, and a YG23. I'm thinking this might be really fun for this little guy. So I'm going to start with my darkest color to start, and that's actually the YG23. And we will... Now, I will say this, with no line coloring, even when this light pink, the colors that I'm using on this game may not be quite enough to cover up that pink line. So you can kind of decide if you want something darker that'll cover up that pink entirely, because that's kind of the point of the no line coloring, is that you lose those outlines. And this may not completely lose those. So part of the reason, or one of the main reasons I come in with my darkest first, is so I can get some of these interior edges and not lose them. Like I don't want to lose that lip and that little smile. His little smirk is kind of part of the fun. So I want to come in and go right underneath so that we don't lose that, because it'll be light up on top. it'll catch the light. So, all right, I think, well, let's see, we could do a little bit to shape his little, what is that called on a slug? It's not really his antenna, I don't think. I have no idea on a slug or a snail, because their eyeballs are kind of floating up there. Not sure. It's not an answer I have, but I have a feeling it's not super important. All right, so that was the YG23. I'm going to shift over to YG21. These are really, really bright, and if you don't happen to have these particular colors, I'm going to encourage you to grab YG01 and YG03. Those are going to be almost identical. They are very, very similar to these two. So you would get a very, very similar look by using those two colors. Now I think I'm actually just going to go over those little dots. I'm not sure if I'm going to need that yellow, because I have that Y11 sitting by, but I'm thinking if I need a yellow, it might actually have to be even lighter. I'm thinking this might, we're gonna have to do a little back and forth. There's a pretty good jump between those two. I guess one of the advantages of using colors where you can still see that pink kind of showing through a little bit is I can see all those little freckles or those little dots on my slug. I'm trying to leave the whites of his eyes, but it looks like I'm losing them over here. So we might go ahead and fill them in. Okay. Then we can decide if we want to do lighter spots like white, or if we want to come in and do a little bit darker with the spots, like come back with the YG23 and do those. Kind of clean up some of these little edges. And I feel like we could do a little bit more kind of easing in. There we go. And now that it's so wet, won't have to hardly touch that yellow green in it. It'll just kind of blend right in, just dissolve. There we go. So we'll let him sit for a second for sure. And then we can decide what to do with those little spots. And then, so one of the things I did, so you guys know, is when I did the other one, I did the background and then I left like a lighter trail. Let's see. We can do, why don't we do, we'll do warm grays, kind of going through the dirt. And this is, sorry, a W3. And I'm purposefully trying to make it uneven so that you end up kind of with rough ground. And we'll bring it up this way. It's gone on a little path. Obviously you have to slow down a little bit where it's right up against him. You could do the same thing like with grass or completely different colors. This happened to be right near my elbow, so I figured it would work pretty darn good. This is a W5. We'll give him a little bit of a cast shadow, and we'll smooth that out here just a second. And then again, kind of dab some of this in. There we go. Come back with the W3. Kind of soften and smush that around a bit. Definitely want to hit the edge of the cast shadow. None of this is blending smooth, and that's very purposeful. I'm not trying to get it. This is more about softening. And then with the W3, I'm going to add just a little bit, kind of through his little trail. And then I'm going to grab a W1. And then to kind of finish this up, we're gonna, for the texture, I'm gonna come back in and do some dotting with a colorless blender. Have to slow it down a little bit. I'm not doing a very good job of that. A little impatient today. But giving that trail a little more texture, but also lightening it up one stage further. I think just to be different, I'm going to add white spots. So I'm going in and adding the opaque white onto all those little freckly guys. And I can just barely see them, and I'm not going to catch them all because I'm not seeing them completely clear, but I'm going to catch a lot of them. I didn't shake this very well, so might have to do it again. It'll give you an idea, give them a little highlight. Let's see, where I can kind of look. This is always where I do a little cheat and say, okay, where really were all of those little spots? There's another one right here. And looks like right there. Had a couple on his little tail. I guess he's kind of all tail, right? Okay. So that, and then to finish the coloring, I'm gonna flip him upside down and get him a sky. I've got a B000. So my goal is going to be then to create a card, but using some violets. And part of the reason I chose the banana slug, a yellow slug, is that that yellow and violet have that complementary color combo going for him. So he'll be a fun one to have sitting on top of some bright violet colors. All right. So mostly those pink lines disappear. What we're seeing is just the shape. We can see them a little bit in a couple spots, and in fact I'm gonna go in and hit this one more time. It was pretty wet, so it kept kind of bleeding. And I could always come in and add a little bit of either a complementary color or a blue violet right underneath some of those spots to give them a little more, push them back a little bit further. And I might need to do that on this guy. Let's see. I feel like we're not getting it as, let's do this. Now we have to avoid the white. Okay, I'm looking, trying to decide what I want here. I'm gonna try this. We'll see. See if I make a huge mess. Oh, it's actually gonna work pretty good. This is a BV34. I'm only gonna, let's see, I want it under there. And I'm actually thinking maybe under him. There we go. That cleans that up pretty nicely. Kind of dab that into that color. That actually blends in pretty well with those warm grays. But it also looks really good under his little lip and really pushes that back a little bit so we can see it. All right. On the original, I used Nouveau, the glitter pen, or Wink of Stella, sorry, Wink of Stella, these guys, and added shine to his sluggy slime trail, which of course you have to catch just right to see. But it actually was extremely effective. And adds a touch of fun. I'm not sure if we'll, yeah, just barely. There we go, you can catch it. So this guy will be ready to go on a card, and I will use some of the new kind of matte, these are really cool, enamel dots, and then I will figure out a way to incorporate our fun new stencil that has kind of these stamp shapes to them, as well as our lavish lilac color. And we'll put a card together and have that at the end of the video. Thank you very much for tuning in today. I hope you guys all have a very happy, colorful day.